Hey everybody, how's it going? Meister here, and welcome back to the beautiful city of Oxbourg. In today's episode, we are going to discuss and start planning for the future of the city's highway network. As you may know, Oxbourg is a rapidly expanding city. We've just crossed over 100,000 people, and we're not slowing down anytime soon. And Draconia, the map on which Oxbourg is built, had no highways whatsoever when we first started. The only thing that was already populated on the map are small country roads leading to the city from the far extremities of the map, which are represented here in yellow. Now, all of these roads are just small two-lane country roads leading to the edge of the map and are by no means going to have enough capacity to handle the massive amounts of traffic that are already starting to come to and from the city. A lot of these roads are already beyond their capacity, so we're going to definitely have to either replace or upgrade a lot of these roads. Now, as we stand, we already have a number of highways leading throughout the city, which are represented here in light blue. So of course we have the BQE, which we built a few episodes ago, as well as our new viaducts leading to the airport and downtown. We also have a little tiny stretch of highway leading off to the industrial area on the western part of the city. But what are we going to do about the future? Well, this is my proposal represented in red, and this is what has not yet been constructed. So if you take a look, a lot of the yellow roads that are on the northern part of the map are going to be replaced and or bypassed with some brand new 4 to 6 lane controlled access highways. But that's not what we're really going to be focusing on this episode. The area that I'm going to be focusing on is over here near downtown, because the next part of the map that I'm going to be expanding onto is the eastern part of the island. Now, spoiler alert, very soon we're going to be building a brand new city from scratch. And my idea is to expand Oxbourg east while expanding this new city, which is going to sit on the very eastern part of the island. And that city is going to expand west. And eventually both of these cities are going to meet, become amalgamated as one, and it's going to become one major city, mostly covering this entire island. Now, this is a very long-term project, and we're going to have to work at it piece by piece as both of these cities expand over time. But the area that we're going to be working on today is going to feature a very large interchange, probably one of the bigger interchanges I've ever built. And what we're going to be doing here is basically some sort of Y interchange that will intersect two of the most major and vital highways running through the city. So it's going to be another big old spaghetti bowl interchange. So let's jump into it, guys. We're going to jump into time-lapse mode for the construction of this interchange, and then we're going to get into live play a bit later on to work on some other pressing issues throughout the city. Let's dive in. In the midst of yet another death wave, our interchange is now complete. And now that begs the question, what do we do with this big old empty space? And I've considered doing a lot of different things in this empty space, but I think what makes the most sense is sooner or later, the city is going to get a subway system, and we're going to need a subway yard. Now, this is a pretty huge piece of infrastructure. I'd probably have to move some things around to get this to fit, but with all of the city's industry being concentrated to this general area, and with this general area being more or less nestled in between a ton of mountains, I think the only place left for such a big piece of infrastructure like a subway rail yard is right here. So obviously I'm gonna have to move a few things around, starting with this cemetery. You know, I kind of like the cemetery here. I thought it fit perfectly, but I'm gonna have to move it because we're gonna go ahead with the subway system. Now, I'm not actually gonna build the subway system this episode. We're just gonna get started on providing all of the required infrastructure necessary for such a thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and move the cemetery over here. I think that would actually work, because now I have this road that I can kind of keep going in this direction, just like this. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And this frees up all of this land. And just to not have another pointless intersection, I'm just going to extend a road out this way. And oops, why did I have this in negative 1.25 meters here? Let's bring this back down to ground zero. Bring our road out this way. Oh, yeah, that actually works perfectly. Awesome. And that gives us a little bit more extra room in this region. And just for now, what I'll do is I am going to submerge all of this terrain. And this will hopefully give us plenty of room to build our subway yard. I'm gonna flip it around just like so and try to line it up as best I can with our railroad tracks here. That's proving to be a little difficult, but I think this is pretty good. And I'm gonna go ahead and plop this building right about here. And then let's just zoom out here to see what this looks like. Beautiful. It looks like just another rail yard. And now let's get into zoning. But I just want to add on to this disease control center. So of course we could assume that there's underground parking for a building like this so close to downtown, and there might very well be. But it doesn't look like there's actually a road going underground attached to this building. So in that case, what I think I'm going to do is provide some actual parking. Now with this whole area being very industrious, you know, we can assume that, like, you know, maybe this would have been factories and all sorts of, you know, big buildings like that that probably have been demolished and replaced with, you know, highways and rail infrastructure, things like that. So because this area is a little bit less densely populated and I guess densely built up in general compared to the rest of the city, then we'll have some wide open parking spaces in some of these areas. Why not, right? So let's build a couple of big old parking spots, or I suppose just one would be fine. This can act as a sort of maybe overflow parking for this building. But in addition to that, I think I'm going to build a multi-level parking garage right over here. And the reason why I'm doing this is I kind of tested this building here before, not gonna lie, and I think it looks pretty cool. You know, you're on the highway and you have a big old parking garage right beside the city, and I mean, it's gonna get used for sure, because all around this particular location will go some mixed housing. So we'll build some mixed housing just like this, and then we're gonna mix in some regular commercial as well. We got a ton of commercial demand. And then over here by the tracks, let's get some offices, and then maybe just a little tiny bit of industrial. Not a lot, because I don't want pollution to bother any nearby residents. But I think I'm getting lucky here because the wind is actually going to push this pollution into the rail yard and into the interchange. Like, there's not going to be any residential at all, like, in this entire length. So I think this should actually work out pretty good. And then let's build some additional offices all up in here, kind of following the same sort of trend as what we did in the last episode with the big old industrial area. And then we'll do some more commercial, as this appears to be a very suitable spot for commercial. There we go. Oh yeah, what is this? Oh yeah, that's a Japan Medical Center. And I'm gonna be careful here, but I think I should be able to fit in maybe a couple of apartment buildings. Let's do some low rent housing. And this could be some supplemental housing for maybe the students that are going to university here. So I'm going to leave a gap between these two buildings, and then we're going to build a long parking lot. So this parking lot will service both of these apartment buildings. And then it looks like I have no more office demand, but I'm going to go ahead and build some office space as anyways. And I'm going to terraform this land just a little bit, just so I can fit some office buildings in the back here. We got some commercial as well. Let's build some commercial space. Beautiful. And then we're going to mix in, how about just a couple of row houses? Why not? A couple of random row houses, just like this, just to mix everything in. There, wow, okay, so that was a lot easier than I thought. You know, I was struggling to find what I was going to build here, but I'm glad that we can fit everything in this location with just a few simple buildings. And then I'm left with a big old open space here, but I think that's okay. There's not a whole lot that I can really do. Maybe Maybe I'll just squeeze in a little alleyway in the back. And then I'll do just a couple of very small industrial warehouses, just like this. That is beautiful. Gonna rezone this with commercial. There we go. Oh yeah, look at this. We're already getting some office buildings built up. Oh, this is industry. And it looks very warehouse-ish. So we're going to limit the building level. And now let's accelerate the simulation just so everything here builds up really quickly. Look at that, we already get our first apartment buildings sprawling up. And after a little bit of detailing, adding props, adding decals to the ground, this is the final result. And now we have a beautiful, not yet functional subway rail cart depot. Now at this point, I think we can confidently say that downtown is complete. All of the downtown surroundings are done, and that means that we can start, oh, lag spike. That means that we can start pushing east. And spoiler alert, there's some pretty exciting things to come very shortly, and that would entail a brand new city that is going to begin construction over here. Okay, so I'd like to start expanding westward from this city and expand eastward from the major downtown core of the city, and then eventually everything will connect to one another and get all amalgamated and all those exciting things. But for the remainder of this episode, as we wait for this another new death wave that's occurring to clear up, I want to breeze through all of my info views here, because if there's one thing that I've kind of neglected over the last little while, that is the actual functionality of the city. You know, we've been building all kinds of cool things since the start of this series, and not once did we really make sure that we have everything we need. Well, maybe once or twice, but it's been a while. So let's breeze through here. First thing, our roads. And if we zoom out, you can see that most of our roads are in good condition, apart from just a few segments. Okay, so this stretch of highway here is not accessible from anywhere right now in the city, because it can only be accessed from, you know, one stretch of this highway. Same thing with this stretch of highway, and all these exits here, they're slowly becoming dilapidated, but that's just because the road maintenance vehicles cannot get to them. Over here, oh, it looks like we have a pile of vehicles that are resurfacing this highway. That gets a fair amount of traffic, so we won't have to worry about that for quite a while. But overall, we're in really good standing as far as road maintenance. Parking availability, we're right around where we want to be, I believe. You know, we're just about at rush hour, just before rush hour, I guess. So this is a good metric to test your parking availability. And, you know, you don't want an overabundance of parking availability, because then that just means you're going to have empty parking lots all over, and it's wasted resources. So I'm right above the green mark, which is perfect. Next, we have traffic. Overall, the city is doing okay, apart from... oh, well, what the heck is this? We have, like, no vehicles here at all. Why the red traffic? I think traffic is doing really well here. Look, we have not a car in sight. Very strange. Okay, so we're just going to ignore that. But if we zoom out, we can see that traffic is actually quite reasonably well managed. And I'm actually surprised that so far this series, we haven't had any traffic fix videos yet. But I'm sure we will eventually get some traffic issues once the city starts growing eastward. Electricity, we're okay for now. Water, oof. We're just on the cusp of not having enough availability. What I'm going to do, just as a temporary measure, is I'm just going to upgrade these water pumps. This water pump is likely going to stay. This road is probably going to get upgraded at some point, so I may have to move it just a little bit, but this one may get relocated entirely. But let's check here if that made a difference. Yep, look at that. It's brought us into the green. Not very far into the green. We're probably going to have to manage this eventually, but we're okay for now. Healthcare. Healthcare, we're doing all right. We have an abundance of hospitals downtown just next to the university. We have our disease control center as well as, you know, many big hospitals, so capacity is not an issue. Same with death care. We're good. No problems there. Garbage management. I think we're still doing okay. We have an abundance of garbage trucks going out. We have our incineration plant way over here on the outskirts of the town, and then we have a recycling plant here which appears to be functioning just fine, so we won't worry about that too much. Next we have fire and rescue. Coverage is good. I don't really see any problems. And then next we have disaster control, which we can kind of ignore that. We're not playing with any disasters. Police. I think we're okay here. With a crime probability of 2% and only 108 criminals amongst over 100,000 people, I think we're doing pretty well. We're probably one of the safest cities in the world with these statistics here. So we're all right. Administration. Welfare coverage. Oh yeah, you know what? I've totally forgot about providing a welfare center. Why don't we go ahead and build a welfare center, welfare office somewhere in the city. Ooh, this building is pretty huge. Oh, would it actually fit here? Not quite. Not really. It would fit on this side of the road, or it would fit over here, I suppose. You know, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and plop our welfare center over in this corner, and then we'll just have to build around it. So at least we have one in the city, although it probably doesn't cover the entire thing, but better than nothing. So administration, we're good. Education, this is where we're gonna have our work cut out for us because we are just totally lacking in elementary school capacity. Everything else is good. But before we do anything about that, let's just keep going here for a little bit just to check that we have everything sorted. Mail availability. So this is actually improving, and I think that is because of the recent plopping of the post sorting facility, because we used to be like pretty far into the red. And the thing about mail is, first of all, I think it's still bugged and it's not actually functioning the way it should function. But from my experience, when you do any upgrades to your post system, it takes a really long time for any effect to appear, because the mail actually physically needs to be transported to its destination, and that takes time. But there is one thing I want to take care of, and that is improving the coverage of our post sorting system. So I'm going to start by plopping a post office here in Hillside because we don't have a post office at all. So let's go ahead and build one here. And then where else are we missing one? We don't have one in Hamilton. So actually, is the Japan one a lot smaller? Yeah, the Japan one's pretty tiny. I could probably squeeze one in here. So that's going to provide coverage for the Hamilton area. And apart from that, I think we're good. And in between, so I really can't fit a post office anywhere near Old Town, but what I'm going to do instead is I can build a bunch of mailboxes and dot them throughout the entire city. So not just in Old Town, but I'll go ahead and build them all over the city. So this will provide even better access to mailboxes and to mail delivery in general. And actually, plopping mailboxes all over your city is actually a good practice because it provides really great coverage. So now people wanting to go get their mail don't have to actually drive all the way to a post office. They can simply walk to the nearest postal box and they can collect their mail. And in some cases that can actually improve traffic as well. So there's nothing wrong with just going around your entire city and plop in a bunch of mailboxes. Let's do the same in the back streets of Hillside. Beautiful. All right. And look at that. Oh my god. Look at our death wave, guys. This is just crazy. And I promise you, like, I've checked on my death care services. I mean, crematorium availability is kind of... I guess we could maybe plop one more, but look at our cemetery availability. And cemeteries actually go out and collect deceased people as well. I'm not sure if there's a way to check the total availability of all of our hearses. But here, just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and plop one more crematorium. Like, just look at all of our death care buildings. You know, we have a couple over here. We have a couple here in Hamilton. But, you know what? I'll go ahead just for good measure. I'll plop one right here. It fits perfectly, and I even have room to build a road off to the side. And then I think I might actually have enough room to build an upgrade. No, not quite. But here, let's go the extra mile. We'll even build a hearse garage. And here, we'll just build a fully upgraded crematorium to help out with the collection of dead people. But like I said, I mean... God, wow, that was a stroke of luck. Another plane scare. But yeah, these death waves just come in waves. Literally, like, there's nothing we can do about it. But anyways, let's keep going down our list here. Telcom. Telcom is the next thing on the list. I think coverage is good, as well as quality. Quality could be a little bit better, but we have a major tower up here on this hill, and then we have a modern telecom building right downtown. You know, I think coverage is just fine. Maybe we'll add another tower on top of one of these mountains in a later episode, but we're good for now. Leisure, we have an abundance of parks. We're good. Tourism, again, we have an abundance of parks. We have a bunch of really good attractions, such as the Notre Dame. We have the CN Tower. There's no real way to tell how many tourists we're attracting to the city, but we're 100% attractive, whatever that means. I'm sure there's mods that give us a much more valuable dashboard than this, but this is what we got for now. Outside connections, here we can get a brief look at what we're importing, exporting. I won't gloss over our production chain just yet. What I'm really concerned about is just making sure the basics are covered for our city. Residential, I think we're good. Commercial, okay, this is just basic information about our zones. Don't really care about that. Same here. Land value is good overall. I mean, except in the industrial zone, which understandably nobody wants to live in the middle of an industrial park. Company profitability. Oh wow, commercial profit could be a little higher. Our commercial businesses aren't doing so well. Perhaps we may want to reduce taxes a little bit for our commercial zones. So let's lower them by 1%. That's going to bring our monthly balance to 2,000. How high were they at 9%? Okay, so we're losing about 500K in tax revenue. What if I lower them to 7%? Oh my god, wow, that makes a pretty big difference. Another $500,000 in monthly revenue. But to be honest, I think I can afford it, and it's probably going to help us out in the long run. So we'll just have to check at a later date to see if this improves. We're doing okay in that front. Natural resources. Well, I mean, this we looked at it very early on in the series, if I recall. We have a lot of fertile land, but the thing with it is all of the available fertile land is on flat ground, which will eventually become urbanized. So we're not going to have much farmland on this map ever. One thing that we do have an abundance of, though, is ore. So we're probably going to get some good ore production coming from these mountains. We'll likely build a big quarry or something at some point in these mountains to extract those resources. 0 oil. We don't have any oil on this map at all. So we're going to have to import 100% of the oil that we use. Now, this is a very, very interesting window. Okay? We're not going to be able to do anything about any of this episode, but I just want to grab your attention here and take a look at our unemployment, which is 35%. City Planner Plays just recently released a video fixing his high unemployment rate in his city, and shout out to City Planner Plays, by the way. He's provided some really valuable insight into certain mods that you can download to better help you fix unemployment. And like I said, we're not going to be fixing this now because that's like an entire episode's worth of work to do that. But just so you know, we will eventually be getting to this. Homelessness rate, 544 people may seem like a lot. And, you know, it is too much, to be honest. Like, this should be 0. But among 105,000 people, this equates to about 0.5%, which is not too shabby. Happiness of our citizens, everybody is all hunky-dory, except the city can be a little loud at times, which is understandable. Household wealth is good. Workplace availability. So, I mean, this is something we can dive into in the episode where we fix unemployment rate. So we're not going to worry about that too much now. Air pollution. I'd say overall, Oxbourg is a pretty clean city. Only along these main arterial highways are we getting a lot of pollution, but I mean, that's unavoidable, really. Ground pollution, we're okay. Noise pollution, as you can see, pretty noisy city, but what city isn't? And lastly, water pollution. So this chunk of groundwater is just done for. I mean, the geothermal plant just wrecked this water source. But that's okay because it'll only ever be contained to this little area. And over here as well, I think this pharma building and then maybe just the general industrialness of this area is polluting some of this groundwater. I don't foresee it spreading all the way through here. And I mean, this might even be in the process of healing. Maybe this is going to eventually be reduced to no pollution at all because this used to be the location of the geothermal plant. So, I mean, maybe this is going to be completely healed because this industrial zone doesn't seem to be polluting any of the groundwater. But yeah, so that just about does it for our city info. Now let's talk about the last issue that we're going to cover in this episode, and that is our elementary school capacity, which is way under where we need it to be. So we're obviously not going to be able to fix this problem with one singular school, but there's a couple of small tricks that we can use to help rectify this issue, and that is to plop a couple of these southwest elementary schools. And the reason is this is the highest capacity school in the game, and what makes this even better is its relatively compact size. So we can pretty much squeeze this in almost any block, and it should be able to house a ton of students. Now, unfortunately, one thing that I would really like to deep dive in, for example, if I select the Emerson district, and I can overview the residents that live in this district. And as you can see, we have 2,790 children that live in this district. We don't get a percentage, but you know, it looks to be about a quarter of the total residents that live in this area. But unfortunately, there's no way for us to know how much capacity we have in one particular district. The only thing we have is the total elementary school capacity for the entire city. There might be a mod out there that would allow me to see this info, and if so, please do let me know in the comments. But for now, we're just gonna have to go with what we got, and we need a lot more school capacity. So, first thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna plop a southwestern elementary school, and I think I know where this is going to go as I've studied the surrounding areas quite extensively. And the first thing I'll do here is demolish this little dirt road And we are going to expand this huge 6-lane road. We're gonna continue it in this direction, and then eventually I want this big 6-lane avenue to make its way into a bridge over here, but we're not going to do that this episode. I just wanted to extend it a little bit this way. So now we can go and plop our brand new school. Looks like a little stub here. Let's get rid of that. And if I turn off anarchy, is this going to work? Nope. It's complaining about something. See, this is kind of weird. Like, if you turn off anarchy, it's complaining about the soccer field. That's like the next block over. I know it's just because things are overlapping and we're kind of pushing the game to its absolute limits. But there we go. There's our brand new elementary school. And this is like one of the coolest assets in the game. Like, you can fit this in pretty much any setting and it will just work. So right off the bat, this school gives us 1,000. And you're probably screaming at your monitor, well, Tim, you said it was the highest capacity school. It is, just not yet. But watch this. We have a bunch of upgrades that we can apply. First one here is the arts and music building, which tacks on to the very end of the building here, giving us 1,500 student capacity. Additional classrooms, tack that on. That brings us up to 2,500, so an additional 1,000. And then finally, we have an annex building, which we can tack on to the side of the building once again, giving us an additional 750. And the fun thing about this upgrade is we can plop as many as we want. So for the sake of aesthetics, I'm not going to go crazy and just plop a whole bunch of these extension buildings, because I still want things to look nice. But there we have it. We have a elementary school with a capacity of 4,000 in a relatively small area. And there's one little thing that's bothering me right here, and that is this hill. So I'm gonna go into move it. We're gonna do object height, and then I'm just gonna raise this road to the same level. Oh, look at that, and it actually fixed the terrain. Actually, why don't I move all of this over by 1? Beautiful. And then this directly attaches itself to the main road. Perfect. And then zooming out, we can see how it fits in with the surrounding areas. Looks very nice. It looks a little bit more modern, you know. It looks like it something would have been demolished to make way for this elementary school, but it still looks really cool. So let's check our metrics here. How's that going? Look at that. Wow, that's really, really helped out. We now have a capacity of 18,500. And if we just plop one more of this school, it may just tip us right over the edge, and we'll have enough student capacity. So I'm going to plop another one of these schools far apart, so there's no duplication. And where I'm thinking of plopping this building is over here in Hillside. We got a ton of room just outside of the city limits, which are soon going to become within the city limits as soon as I'm done with this episode. So we're just going to continue this road straight in this direction, and we're going to move these power lines, guys. Don't worry about that just yet. And let's go ahead and plop another one of these buildings. Oh yeah, in this case I don't have to use anarchy at all. Beautiful. Let's plop this down, and we'll just do the exact same upgrades. And then for this additional classroom, I think I'll just yeah, I'll just do that. Beautiful. And I could, yeah, no, I don't really know how I can make this work out. I think we might just have to deal with a little bit of a lower capacity school. But there we go. We have two identical schools. Is there anywhere else I could plop one? I don't really have much room. Maybe if I go back into Hamilton, there is an empty space here. Maybe we could, What else do we got? We have a small elementary school, but this only has a student capacity of 400, so it's very small. What about the default elementary school? I mean, it's still 1,000, and I think if I apply the extension upgrade to it, it brings it up to 1,500. So that might be okay. I'm gonna have to move this building, however. But here, let's do this. I think we can make this work. So let's do a bit of terraforming. We're gonna smooth all of this out. And then if I extend this road straight through like this, I'm just gonna enable anarchy. We're gonna get this to fit. We're gonna brute force it. There we go. And then I can move this upgrade just down the road, and I think we should be able to get the school to fit in. There, let's get, oops. Let's get a nice smooth slope going so that we don't have any crazy terrain issues. And just like that, I think we can fit this school perfectly in this tight spot. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And then I got plenty of room for activities. So we'll do, oh, can I fit the children's clinic? Not really, but at least I can fit a playground. That's really what matters. Right by these train tracks, that is a perfectly good location. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna scooch this over just by one. And, oh geez, I don't think that's gonna work. I was gonna build a parking lot in behind the school, but I think the terrain is just a little too unforgiving. But perhaps I could squeeze one in behind here, or I guess this one would work. Yeah, let's do that. Beautiful. And there we have it, 3 new schools. How we doing? Well, we're in the orange, so we're not quite there yet. I think one more school should do the trick. Let's take a quick look here. What are our options? So here's an idea. Let's do an urban elementary school just because it blends in with the surroundings of a lot of areas. And what if I cram it in here? I think this fits perfectly. It's a little bit more of like a, you know, mid-century kind of urban renewal type building. So let's fully upgrade this bad boy up to 1,700 students. Does the urban playground add anything? Not really. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave this building as is, and I'm gonna go over here into our brand new Emerson district, where we already have a fully upgraded elementary school, but with the theme of this neighborhood being all trendy and hipster, I feel like this elementary school, this urban elementary school, would complement this whole area quite well. But the question is, where do we stuff this building? Because we are just completely at the limit of what this neighborhood can handle. And I don't want to like destroy an entire block. But it seems like it would probably fit pretty good here. You know, I do have a small parking lot. I can get rid of this. Although I kind of like it. I really don't want to destroy this neighborhood. What about like here? There's nothing really interesting going on in this particular spot. We do have a nice new gentrification building that will likely get demolished. But you know what? Let's do it. Oh, it looks like I gotta enable anarchy. So actually, I think this building can probably stay. I'm gonna scooch this. Oh, wrong building. I grabbed the wrong building. There. So I think if I pull this building off to the side a little bit further, and then maybe push this one off to the side, so now these buildings become joined, just like so. And then maybe if I push this building forward, can I repair these road connections? Yes, look at that. No need to completely demolish the neighborhood. And this actually looks wonderful. I mean, I displaced a couple thousand people, but you know, we won't, we'll just ignore that. And now, yes, I could upgrade this building, make this into like one big complex. And there we go, we'll add a beautiful, super trendy, hipster kind of rooftop to this elementary school. And with these 2 additional schools, we're going way above and beyond now, guys. Look at this. Oh my god, we're right on the cusp. We literally are missing like 25 or something student capacity. But that's okay. I think this is good enough. You know, as the city expands, we'll just make sure to add a ton more elementary schools as we build out the city. So yeah, I'm happy. There we have it. We've fixed all of the city's really pressing issues, and already Oxbourg is turning into a beautiful utopian paradise. So that is going to be it for this episode. A very productive episode it has been, and I'm really hoping that you enjoyed it, because if you did, make sure you drop a like, drop a comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content in general. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member. Next episode, we're going to continue to focus on the expansion of the city. We're going to get into some really exciting things, and pretty soon we're going to be starting that new city that I mentioned earlier this episode. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for the Oxbourg series. So guys, thanks once again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.